Well, it's not every day that diplomacy takes a backseat and water becomes a weapon, but here we are. The taps have not run dry, not yet, but New Delhi has definitely turned the pressure valve. By hitting a pause on the Indus Waters Treaty, an agreement that was once praised for surviving wars and coups and cricket boycotts, India has just sent more than a ripple across the Ratcliffe line. It's actually sending out shockwaves. So let's rewind a bit. After that horrific terror attack in Pahalgam, India's response has been very strategic, from the Prime Minister's promise to punish the perpetrators beyond imagination, like he said, to that all-party unity on display. It's clear that this time New Delhi is not taking it lying down. A day after India has struck back with diplomatic and economic action against Pakistan in the aftermath of the Pahalgam Massacre, now this all-party meeting that has been called by the central government has begun in Delhi. Home Minister Amit Shah is present, along with Defence Minister Rajnath Singh, the External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar, along with the Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman, and there are leaders of various political parties who are present at that meeting. And we'll keep getting us updates from our reporter who's continuously tracking it. But here's what's happening across the border. Pakistan is in full diplomatic meltdown mode. It's rejected any role in the Pahalgam attack. It has threatened to escalate to international forums, and now this is the kicker, really. It's called India's suspension of the Indus Waters Treaty an act of war. An act of war indeed. That's not all. Islamabad has also declared the Simla agreement to be in abeyance. And how does that translate? They're trying to pull the rug out from under the line of control itself. So where are we headed with this? Is the LOC now more suggestion than border? Have we entered a new phase in India-Pakistan engagement where treaties become tactical, diplomacy seems dispensable, and water can be wielded like a weapon? To unpack the significance of this diplomatic deep freeze, what it could mean for the broader strategic equation, let's connect with Manoj Joshi. He's a distinguished fellow at the Observer Research Foundation, someone who's been decoding the Indo-Pak puzzle for decades. Mr. Joshi, always a pleasure having you with us. So here's the big one. We seem to have hit the red line. Pakistan is now saying that any attempt to stop or divert water flow is going to be considered an act of war. What do you make of this language? Is this a bluff, or do you think this is a serious escalation?
Well, this is not the first time they have said it. In 2016, when India had suspended the Indus Waters Commission meeting, Sartaj Aziz, who was the advisor to the Prime Minister, had said the same thing, that it will be an act of war. So from the narrative of Pakistan, I can see the point they're making, because it is a very tough action. It is something which can strangulate Pakistan. So that, yes, can be seen as an act of war. But you see, you can call it a threat of war. And the threat of war requires Pakistan to take certain actions. I'm saying people don't use war as a normal instrumentality, but you use war in self-defense. And in the case of India, when you are constantly attacked by terrorists who are trained by the Pakistan army, you have to go into what is called a war of self-defense.
Right.
So this is a war of self-defense, and we are actually not using guns. We are using water, as part of that.
Yes, but as you say, this is about self-defense, Mr. Joshi. Do you expect now Pakistan to internationalize this issue more aggressively, possibly seeking intervention from perhaps the United Nations, the World Bank, perhaps even allies like China and Turkey? Do you think they'll do that?
You see, this is a very draconian action. There's no doubt about it. And Pakistan cannot simply take it lying down. It has to do two things. Either it actually begins dismantling its jihadi machinery, or the conflict deepens. Now, I have my doubts whether the Chinese would be particularly helpful to the Pakistanis. They will do the usual. They provide them military aid, military assistance. But I think diplomatically, when the issue is framed the way it is, and the framing is that a terror campaign, a massive terror strike has taken place in India, which has the fingerprints of Pakistan on it, and India is reacting to that. India has borne a lot, meaning in the last 20, 25 years, we have borne a lot of terrorist strikes from Pakistan. And we are finally taking recourse to this as Prime Minister Modi very clearly pointed out in 2016, that blood and water doesn't mix. So we can't be party to a treaty through which we give 80% of the waters of the Indus system to Pakistan. 80%.
Correct.
So if you're going to keep on, if you have your hand on my throat, I'm going to get a hand on your throat as well. And that's exactly what we are doing.
And that's exactly what Pakistan is doing as well, because look at what they are saying. They're suspending the Simla Accord, given that the Simla Accord of 1972, it underpins the very existence of that line of control, the LOC. You help us understand, what does it mean when Pakistan says they're putting that Simla Accord in abeyance? What does it really mean on the ground?
Well, Simla Accord actually said many things. And one of the things it said was that the India and Pakistan will arrive at an agreement on Kashmir through dialogue. So if they want to stop, the dialogue never took off. That's a fact. The dialogue never took off. So what is there left in the Simla Accord? They have not, the line of control, according to Indian officials who were there at the time, the Pakistanis, Bhutto had promised that he will convert the line of control to an international boundary. He never did that. Then the Pakistanis said, we will through the Simla Accord, we will have a bilateral talks and we'll settle the Kashmir dispute. That hasn't happened. They have refused to have bilateral talks. They talk about UN resolutions. So what is there left in the Simla Accords? And if that line of control, the wording of the old ceasefire line was converted to line of control. So now it goes back to ceasefire line. So what? It is de facto, it's been a ceasefire line. It's a very active line where there's often firing. There was a lot of firing between 1995 and 2003. There was a lot of firing in later. Now there is a ceasefire, but there has been that has been a very active line right through, and that is the line through which is used by jihadi elements to cross over into India. So that's a line which is breached by armed men who are seeking to separate Kashmir from India. So that's an act of war already.
Mr. Joshi, we're just getting to hear what the opposition is saying from the Congress party. In fact, that all-party meeting just took place. Just let's listen in. I think they've just finished speaking at this point. We'll try and get that soundbite, what the Congress chief was saying. Rahul Gandhi was in attendance as well. That all-party meeting, and it's going to be an important piece, how the centre really gets a consensus going in terms of action against Pakistan. It is an important piece that we are tracking. So what comes out of it, our reporter is also over there and we'll try and connect. But meanwhile, Mr. Joshi, this Simla agreement you're talking about, you're saying that, it's actually the ceasefire line. Now, if that didn't hold merit, when Pakistan says they are holding it in abeyance, does it effectively mean that it has no legitimacy anymore? And if you're talking about those skirmishes, could this lead to more cross-border skirmishes, more infiltration attempts even?
Well, if so far the ceasefire is held, the Pakistanis have not said that they have cancelled the ceasefire. If the ceasefire is there, there's not much of a problem, because they use the firing along the line of control to infiltrate people. But if there is, they have not yet said that they are terminating the ceasefire. If they say that, okay, so this is a situation we have lived with in the past, and we can live with it again. We have to be more alert. Yes, there will be casualties along the line of control. Pakistan is not going to gain anything. And in the meantime, if India keeps on squeezing on the Indus Waters Treaty business, Pakistan's the one that's going to suffer a lot, because its agriculture is completely dependent on waters that come from the Indus water system. Its drinking water supplies are dependent on that.
Yes.
So they are far more dependent on the Indus waters than we are dependent on the line of control.
And the impact, the actual impact of the Indus waters, if at all India is able to withhold or divert, we'll talk about that in terms of the Pakistani economy. But more on this scenario, as far as the Simla Accord is concerned, Mr. Joshi, do you see India too walking away from the Simla framework, or do you think New Delhi is likely to gain more by sticking to its commitment, even as Pakistan seems to be violating it?
I think we can simply walk away from it. There is nothing, what the Simla agreement did, as I told you, was one that it said that the two countries will resolve this issue bilaterally. Now, that is, the Pakistanis have never kept up that part of it. They have not been active in bilaterally trying to settle the dispute. Second thing it did was it converted the old ceasefire line into the line of control. And both sides kept the territory they had captured in Kashmir. So the Pakistanis kept Cham, we kept territory in the northern part of the ceasefire line. So we have kept that. So that's not, no one's going to give it back. Neither side is going to give back the territory it exchanged. Beyond that, what does the Simla Accord have? Nothing much. So if we walk away, I don't see any real problem, because the Simla Accord in some ways is already dead.
Sure. But Mr. Joshi, you spoke about the impact of holding back the Indus Waters Treaty, especially Pakistan's agriculture. How big a blow could actually this be to Pakistan's already fragile economy if India does play hardball with that water flow?
It can affect Pakistan pretty severely, because the thing is that Pakistan depends to a great degree on agriculture, on the what should I say, irrigation for its agriculture. You see, so in those circumstances, the the Pakistani agriculture will be severely affected. There can be no doubt. Meaning I can give you the percentages and all that. I think Pakistani, as I told you earlier, Pakistan gets 80% of the waters of the Indus water system. India only gets 20% of the waters.
Yes.
So this is a pretty substantial difference.
Yes.
And in terms of agriculture, almost all its agricultural production depends on the waters of the Indus Waters system.
Right, right. Talking about the international community coming together at this stage, it's a very important piece to figure out if the domestic political situation is seen as united, and there has been an all-party meeting that has been taking place. In fact, my colleague Samir Dikshit has been tracking this for us. It has concluded, I understand, Samir. Tell us what was discussed, because I believe there were certain bits that were coming through from the Congress's side as well. The Congress chief was speaking. But tell us what you picked up from that meeting.
This was a very important meeting. The all-party meeting was very important in the light that now the government is moving in the direction to gain the confidence of all the political parties, whether the opposition parties, even their own allies, in the wake of Pahalgam terror attack. So this political party meeting went in for around 2 hours. And it started with the
Samir, sorry, I'll have to interject because your line is not very clear. We're not able to make out. It's coming across as pretty garbled. We'll try and reconnect with you in a moment. Mr. Joshi, that all-party meeting has already concluded, and we'll get details from Samir in a moment. But you tell me, is this a turning point in India's strategic posturing? We are moving from restraint to retaliation in our Pakistan doctrine. Do you think that's actually something that you're seeing underway right now in light of what's happened in Pahalgam?
You see, Balakot and the so-called surgical strikes were not particularly effective. Balakot, as you know, I don't know if you know, but Balakot was a failure. The Air Force missed the targets. See? And then when we had the skirmish with the Pakistan Air Force, one of our aircraft was shot down. So it was hardly a great success. You see, but military retaliation has its problems. It has its problems. But what I'm saying is that we are now carrying out retaliation through non-military means, which could be as effective, if not more effective. I don't know whether what the government is planning. Maybe they're also planning a military strike. You see, maybe they're planning a military strike. But uh, if we slowly squeeze the Pakistan right now, we do not have the infrastructure to divert the waters of the Indus system, which goes to Pakistan. We don't have the infrastructure, dams, etc. You have to make. But the threat of doing so should be a wake-up call to Pakistan. Should be a wake. As I told you, approximately 80% of their cultivated land relies on this system, which contributes to about 25% of their
Yes.
GDP.
Yes, Mr. Joshi, you did mention. But of course, at this point in time, it still remains a threat until that infrastructure is built. I'm going across to my colleague, Samir Dikshit. He's back with us, and hopefully we have a better connection this time. Samir, tell us about the all-party meeting, because that consensus is very crucial, and the centre has been talking to all the parties. Tell us what was discussed there.
Yes, definitely. This very important meeting, all-party meeting, it was convened by the central government, and it went for around 2 hours. So this meeting started with a 2-minute silence to pay homage to the innocent lives that are lost during the Pahalgam terror strike. And post this, what we picked up from our sources, that those who were present in the meeting, especially Amit Shah, Rajnath Singh, they gave a detailed sort of presentation to all the parties, that what the details of the terror strike and how the government has retaliated, the big action that has been taken up by the central government, the decisions taken during the CCS, the Cabinet Committee on Security, the decisions that have been taken, why those decisions are important. So these all details were shared with the political parties. So some of the prominent figures, political leaders, those who were present at this meeting were Gopal Yadav from Samajwadi Party, Supriya Sule from NCP, Sharad Pawar faction, even from Aam Aadmi Party, Sanjay Singh was present in this meeting. It had representation from RJD and TMC as well. So post this meeting, we got to know from some of the leaders that they sent a full support to the central government. Even Rahul Gandhi mentioned that all the parties, they condemned the terror strike, and they have extended a full support to the government to take any action, any big action that government wants to take to put an end to these sort of terror attacks. So the political parties across all the lines, they are fully supporting the government. In addition to this, the Congress government has also raised a question that yes, there was a failure in this terror attack. There was intelligence failure, and that accountability should also be held by the government. The responsible should be held, and that sort of question was also raised. But largely, this political party meeting, which was called by the central government and was led by Defense Minister Rajnath Singh, what we understand that it served its purpose, where the government was intending that all the parties should come on the same page. They should show a unity during this sensitive time, and which the government has largely achieved as well, because the parties, they have extended their full support to the government. They have said that the action that the central government intends to take, the parties will give their full support to it. One of the voice that was there in the meeting from Aam Aadmi Party, Sanjay Singh, he raised the point that the terror camps should be striked hard, they should be abolished, they should be destructed. So
Right.
these sort of voices reflect the point that now the political parties, they want that government should go big, the government should go hard on
Yes.
these sort of terror camps, and should send a strong message to the world as well.
Even the Prime Minister has been heard saying that terror infrastructure, it is time that we bring it down. Now, this consensus coming through from all the parties who were in attendance is going to be an important piece, and one would imagine it kind of empowers the government. Samir, thanks for filling us in on that meeting. Mr. Joshi, this consensus, as important as it is, but look at what's happening on the other side. We are hearing from the Pakistan media reports. They're rejecting India's claim of that Kashmir attack involvement of Pakistan itself, and that Pakistan is ready to respond to any Indian aggression. Now, you tell us, do you think this is an SOP, a standard operating procedure, when it comes to a response to such acts of terror, especially coming through from Pakistan? Do you... Oh, just hold on, Mr. Joshi. I'm just being told that Kiran Rijiju, The union minister is just speaking after that all-party meeting. Let's just cut across and see what he has to say.
अपने ब्रीफिंग में एक्सप्लेन किया है। उसके बाद सब पार्टी ने कहा कि सरकार के साथ है और आतंकवाद के खिलाफ इस लड़ाई में सारे पॉलिटिकल पार्टी सरकार के साथ खड़ा है और पूरा देश खड़ा है। ये संदेश भी सब पॉलिटिकल पार्टी ने दिया है और सब पार्टी के नेताओं ने एक ही आवाज़ में कहा है कि सरकार जो भी कदम उठाएगा साथ देंगे। ये भी सब पार्टी के नेताओं ने कहा है और कुछ मुद्दे सामने में आए, उसका क्लैरिफिकेशन भी हुआ और मीटिंग पॉजिटिव नोट में समाप्त हुई। और मैं मानता हूं कि आज के इस महत्वपूर्ण ऑल पार्टी बैठक में जो हमने स्पिरिट अडॉप्ट किया है कि एकजुट होकर के लड़ाई लड़ेंगे आतंकवाद के खिलाफ, वो आगे भी जारी रहेगा। और एक अपील किया है कि ऐसे समय में हम एक दूसरे के खिलाफ राजनीतिक दृश्य से ना दिखें और राजनीति ना करें। ऐसे माहौल में देश एकजुट रहना चाहिए, ये भी सबने संदेश दिया है। तो मैं मानता हूं कि आज के ऑल पार्टी मीटिंग के बाद हम लोग कामयाब होंगे आतंकवाद के खिलाफ लड़ाई में और पाकिस्तान और उनके जितने समर्थक हैं जिन्होंने इस आतंकवाद हमला को अंजाम दिया है उसको बदला लेने में और आगे और भी कड़ी कार्रवाई हो, इसके लिए एकजुट रहेंगे, हम ये मानते हैं।
किरण जी, एक बार इंग्लिश में फटाफट बता दीजिए क्या व्हाट वाज द आउटकम?
मैंने ये कहा है कि United Nations
At the end of that all-party meeting, that consensus element is being underlined over and over again, that whatever action the Indian government will take, it has the support of all parties. And that's the point that Union Minister Kiran Rijiju has made at the end of that meeting as well. So I was just asking you, Mr. Joshi, on the back of this, because the response from the Pakistani side is that they aren't involved in the Pahalgam attack. But it's a most expected response from the Pakistani side when acts of this nature happened, aren't they?
Oh, no, see, I don't think they will back off just like that. See, I think this is where we could get some international mediation. This is where the international community can come in and tell Pakistan that, look, you better get your act together. You cannot operate like this, go into India, shoot up tourists, you know. So I don't think it will be a kind of a cut and dry kind of a system. The Pakistanis have to verifiably dismantle the jihadi machine. That should be the Indian goal. They have to dismantle the jihadi machine. And if that goal is to be achieved, if we systematically squeeze them on this Indus Waters Treaty, we can achieve it. Because I don't think the Pakistanis can have the staying power, meaning even now their water storage is constrained. They have big dams, Mangala and Tarbela. They hold only 14.4 million acre feet, which is only 10% of the annual water share under the treaty. They don't have, they are unable to store the water which comes to them under the treaty. There are means through which, so what I'm trying to say is the threat of the termination.
Yes.
I'm sure that the Pakistanis are thinking hard about this.
Right.
They are going to obviously see, are the Indians serious? And I think we'll have to make our seriousness known through a variety of means, maybe diplomatic pressure, or through, we have been constructing dams on the Ravi Bias system. We have been having, I think Mr. Gadkari had spoken about this some time back. And if we, with those dams, if we change their design, we can start, because right now the dams we are allowed on the western rivers are what is called run-of-the-river systems.
Yes.
But if we alter those run-of-the-river systems a bit, we start retaining more water.
Right.
We don't have to retain a lot of water,
right,
but we retain, we can squeeze the Pakistani 10%, 20%, and
Yes.
that would make a huge difference to them.
But talking about squeezing Pakistan, even with that diplomatic push, and if there is going to be a military kind of strike, tell me, as far as the situation right now is concerned, Mr. Joshi, do you see any role for intervention by third parties like the United States or the UAE, Saudi Arabia, even the World Bank? You talked about that. In this current standoff, should a third party actually mediate? Do you think there is room for that?
Yeah, I think we should pursue it. I think we have given our declaration on the IWT to the world. Now our diplomacy should get active and tell the Saudis, tell the UAE, tell the United States, tell the European Union, guys, please knock some sense into the Pakistani heads. And that's the same phase of what we ought to be doing.
But for the moment, Mr. Joshi, is what India doing a bold stroke of, one may call it strategic assertiveness? Or do you think that could spiral into some unintended consequences as well? Now, Pakistan is playing the act of war card over water. Are we entering a much more dangerous phase of India-Pakistan ties than we've ever seen in recent years?
No doubt about that. There should be no doubts about that. Meaning, this is, as I said, the Pakistanis had their hand on your throat. Now you put your hand on their throat. So definitely, the battle has become much more serious, and the outcome could be much more serious than we had anticipated till now. Till now, the Pakistanis had their hands on your throat, and you kind of were flailing around. Now you've decided to put your hand on their throat. And so definitely the situation is much, much more serious.
All right, Mr. Joshi, we leave it there. It's a pleasure having your razor-sharp insights on the show as always. But India is recalibrating the red lines. We are resetting the rules of the diplomatic playbook. And it seems clear that this isn't business as usual. It is boldness by design. Whether it's the beginning of a wider geopolitical gambit or it's going to be a calibrated crescendo of sorts, it's a space that we are monitoring closely. But we leave it there on India Tonight. Even as we take this small breather on the show, we continue the discussions on the entire Pahalgam aftermath and what India's stance is going to be. Michael Kugelman is joining us on the other side, and he's going to explain to us this entire plot to finish. Is this India's toughest political consensus yet that we are cracking? And to take that on, my co-anchor in the Delhi studio, Smita Karir, is joining us. And we are going to take this on right after this break. Don't go away. We'll be right back.